All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to Mike on the Mic. And so, I'm going to take a little story for you guys, okay? So, my friend, she was like, hey, I'm having a dilemma. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up? Tell me. She was like, okay, so I was in my freezer, I was cleaning it out, and I found this jar, and it was half full, and I thought it was grease. Like, some people keep kitchen grease, I'm like, okay, yeah, my grandma used to do that, and a few other people I knew. So, she's like, yeah, but it didn't look quite right, so I sniffed it, and oh, it was not grease. I was like, huh, what was it then? Well, I asked my husband about it, and, well, he told me. I don't know if I want to say it. So I'm like, come on, just tell me. Just tell me already. And she ends up telling me. Well, I confronted my husband and he was like, yeah, about that. That's my cum jar. And I was like, wait, hold up, what? A cum jar? She's like, yeah, I was in shock too. So I was like, why? Why do you have this cum jar? And he couldn't really answer me. He's been doing it since he was a little kid. He's always just jacked off in this jar. And I was having medical issues for a few months, which he brought up into my face. And yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm like, wow. I mean, I've heard of socks. I've heard of a lot of things. Toilets, in the shower. All sorts of things. But anyways, since this guy was a little kid, he's just been coming in a jar. He just likes his jar. So, let's get back to it. She's like, yeah, so I threw it away, and he was mad about it. He said it took him a long time to fill this jar, and he was just furious. Like, why'd you throw away my cum jar? It took me a long time. I've been doing this forever. And let's take a little break. Thank you for tuning back into Mike on to Mike. So, I was telling you a little story that my friend told me. She found this jar in the freezer. It looked like grease, collecting it in the freezer. My grandma did that. I know a few people that did all that. Anyways, so she confronted her husband about it and then threw it away. And he was furious and said that was his cum jar. And he's been doing it since he was a little kid. Anyways, guys, let's let's get back to the story. It's very short from here. So, yeah, so my husband, he grabbed a jar of pickles and he dumped it out, cleaned it out as we're arguing about it. I can't believe we're arguing about a jar, a cum jar. Like, jack off in the toilet, yada yada, jack off anywhere. Like, why do you collect it? It's kind of weird. Anyways, I tell him, like, you can come in me or the jar, but you cannot come in both. She did the right thing, right, guys? Anyways, he firmly grasps the jar, goes to the bathroom. Okay, guys, what a story. So is she the asshole or is he the asshole? Send in your comments and we're gonna move on to the next story. Okay? Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty, so let's just get this going. First, my niece, our aunt, we'll call Kay, is pregnant. She and I are the major dill pickle eaters in her family. I would sometimes buy a higher priced brand as a treat for myself, especially if I've had a bad week. The last 2 jars I bought, she took and ate most of the jar. Like, I'd only gotten a couple of the pickles, and she'd find my jar and just eat the rest with no thought to the fact that they were my pickles. She never offered to pay me for them or even asked me. She asks my mom if she can have some, and even my mom is shocked when she sits there and cleans the jar, juice and all. I like the juice too, so don't judge. And my mom has apologized to me multiple times because I'd buy those, and like I said, I treat myself with a pricier jar. I work like a dog so that my elderly mother doesn't overwork herself trying to prepare for Thanksgiving. And as a thank you for everything, she brought me a 2-quart jar of pickles. She knows that once the leftovers are gone, I'll veg out on the couch with a jar of dills. My niece wanted pickles and asked if we had some. I told her we had hamburger pickles, and she flat out whined, I don't want those. Next thing I know, she's hunting through our pantry and finds my jar. Kay, what are these for? Me. Those are mine. Kay, what for? Me. Those are mine! I could tell she wasn't happy. I wouldn't let her have any, but I have little doubt by the time she left, half that jar would be gone. And that just can't be healthy for her or the baby. And again, they're my pickles. She's obnoxious about the whole it's for the baby spiel, which frankly, I don't buy. Not for a whole jar of pickles or a 2-quart jar of pickles. So, am I the asshole for not letting my pregnant niece tear through my thank you gift from my mother? I failed to mention she's on baby number 2. I have mental handicaps and live at home with my mom. I don't have a car. I have limited income, and she comes round, in my opinion, for the free babysitting because she'll only stick around until close to time for her partner to get off work. We get stuck with her and her wailing 2-year-old for up to 8 hours, and frankly, yes, I am severely annoyed with her. I guess this was the turning point where she realized I wouldn't roll over for her anymore. She came in with her own pickles and asked if she could keep them in our fridge for when she visits. They were Velastic baby dills. A kind I don't really buy, so there's no way I'll confuse them for my Clussen aside from the packaging. She has now said that she realized how rude it was to ask me about the jar after I confirmed ownership, and has agreed to keep the jar of her own around the house. Pickles keep, so even if she doesn't visit for a week, they won't go bad. So guys, end of story. What do you think? What do you think? Who's the asshole here? Is she an asshole for not letting her have the pickles? Or is Denise the asshole for just taking? You know? So send in your messages. We'll talk about it. Anyways, guys, thank you. Let's move on to another story about pickles. Who's the asshole? Thank you for that brief pause. It really helps the show. So I think I found another good one for you guys about pickles and assholes and all that jazz. So, am I the asshole for refusing to open a jar of pickles for an old lady? Let's go. It happened last week, and I don't know what to think. Went out for lunch break and headed to the local supermarket. I go there almost every day. So, I was kind of running on autopilot. I was inside looking to get the usual stuff I always get, when suddenly a tiny old lady approaches me holding a jar of pickles. She asked me nicely to open it for her, which was weird since we were in the middle of the supermarket. She most likely didn't purchase them yet. In general, this was a very strange encounter. I then suggested to her in a neutral tone, I guess, that she should go and ask one of the store clerks because I don't know, I don't want to be the accomplice in some sort of pickle case theft. The lady then got upset and roasted me for having no respect for the elderly and wasn't even ready to be a little bit helpful. She said that while storming off, I didn't get to reply to any of that. I then saw her again later at the checkout where she told the cashier about the situation with me. The cashier replied something amongst the lines, yeah, our youth is a shame, and so on. End of story. So who's the asshole here, the old lady or the person? If you're in the store just chilling, doing your normal thing, or at your King Soopers, City Market, Fred Meyer's, wherever you're at, and you're just trying to get some bread and eggs and stuff, or gluten-free potatoes. Anyways, so who's the asshole here? Send in your comments. Let's go for another one. All right, we're gonna stick to it. All right, guys. So I'm not a parent, but this one is called "Am I the asshole for getting mad at my kid for eating my pickles?" So let's go. So I have these pickles that I love. I've only been able to find them in one store locally, which isn't a convenient location, and I rarely buy anything else from there. They aren't cheap either, $12 a jar. I usually buy them 4 jars at a time, and I keep them on hand for when I run out. I usually like to limit myself to only have them as a treat. A jar usually lasts me 2 to 4 weeks, though I have been known to get a little drunk and polish off a whole jar in one sitting. Everyone in my family knows these are my pickles. To be clear, I don't monopolize the pickles. If someone wants them, I'm more than happy to share. I'm not that big of an asshole. So yesterday, my son, 12 years old, had a friend over, also 12. The friend sees my pickle collection and he asked if he could try them. Sure, of course. He has one from 2 different jars and gets to my favorite jar. He tries one and loves it. He has good taste, I guess. He then asks for another, and I tell him no, one's enough. They are hard to get and they are expensive. When I say that to my son, don't listen to him. You can have as many as you want. At the same time, I catch my wife side-eyeing me like, don't be an asshole. So whatever, I walk away. Come back into the room a few minutes later to find my son's friend still in the kitchen, now with a fork in the jar and eating the last pickle. The jar was 3/4 full when he started. MFer ate almost a month's worth of pickles in 5 minutes. I didn't say a word to him. Again, not that big of an asshole, but I was pissed. I sat on it and let it ferment for a while. See what I did there? And at dinner time, I had to let it out. Told my wife and son that it was pretty big of a dick move of them to just let him sit there and eat my whole jar of pickles. My wife laughed, but saw the look on my face and realized I was serious, and pretty much just said, you better not start a fight over a jar of pickles. So I just zipped it, tucked it away, and tried to forget about it. But the next day, I'm still pissed about it. That wasn't right, eating another man's jar of pickles like that, and laughing it off when I tried to defend them. So, let me have it. Am I the asshole? Alright, end of story. This one's a little interesting. I mean, I remember way back when I was like 12, I would run out of my Pop-Tarts and I would eat my stepmom's Pop-Tarts. And she would get mad about it. Even if I had one. So I kind of get it. Apparently a lot of people are like that. But you are an adult. Sure, they're expensive. They're out of the way. I don't know if you're living paycheck to paycheck. So it's like, shit. You're an adult. I know you work hard. Maybe that's your little thing. Sounds like it from the story. Like, this is your thing. You need your little pickles, your special pickles. This makes you happy through all your BS. Uh, so it's a tough one, guys. What do you think? Who's the asshole here, the kid or the dad? Let us know. Post it on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to Mike on the Mic, and I hope to see you next time.